mynews.studio.
Brazil just launched a $125 billion forest fund. The big question is, will these direct payments finally put power in the hands of indigenous peoples?
Today is December 2nd, 2025. Brazil's Tropical Forest Forever Facility, TFFF, has become the headline at COP30. Now, Ellie, we're talking about $125 billion. $25 billion from governments, $100 billion from private investors. But what actually sets this fund apart from what's been tried before?
The core shift here is the payment for preservation model. Countries get about $4 per hectare for either keeping their forests intact or restoring them, and all of this is monitored by satellites. The real change, though, is that this isn't just about governments getting funds. At least 20% has to go directly to indigenous peoples and local communities, the IPLCs.
That 20%, why is it so meaningful? In the past, didn't indigenous groups usually get left out or have to navigate complicated channels to get any funding?
Exactly. Historically, climate finance almost never reached indigenous communities directly, even though their lands consistently show better conservation outcomes, higher carbon capture, less deforestation. With TFFF, there's a built-in minimum share for IPLCs. But there's more. There are two ways the money can be distributed.
You're talking about the direct access model versus the government-channeled one, right? Can you walk us through how those actually work?
Sure. In the government-channeled model, the funds move through national governments, which then decide how to allocate them, as long as the outcomes support conservation. The risk is funds might not end up where indigenous groups need them most. The direct access option, on the other hand, lets indigenous-led institutions manage both the money and the decisions without waiting for government approval.
But is there any guarantee that countries will actually choose the direct access option?
No, there isn't. Each country decides for itself, so indigenous advocates still have to push for direct access. It's not automatic. What TFFF does is make it structurally possible for the first time, but it's not a done deal.
How does TFFF make sure the money is actually used for forest protection? Is there a way to track where it goes?
Payments are linked to measurable outcomes, all verified by satellite imagery. If the forest canopy stays healthy or improves, countries and communities receive the funds. If not, payments can be reduced or withheld. So there's a new level of accountability built in.
Let's dig into the challenges. Is this approach only workable in Brazil, or could it be copied in other tropical regions too?
Brazil does have some advantages, like stronger indigenous land rights and solid technical capacity for satellite monitoring. Not every region has those. To replicate the model elsewhere, you'd need to invest in building up indigenous institutions, legal systems, and reliable monitoring. Some countries might need years to get ready for direct access.
So, legal recognition of indigenous land rights is a sticking point where land tenure is disputed. How could TFFF even function?
Without clear land rights, it's tough. Indigenous groups can't easily claim payments or handle funds themselves. For global scaling, you'd need legal reforms as well, both nationally and internationally, to secure those rights. Otherwise, the system could stall or even reinforce old inequalities.
What about scale? If all this works, how much forest could we actually protect?
Over 1 billion hectares across more than 70 countries by 2030. That's more than 90% of all tropical forests in developing countries. The momentum is significant. 53 countries have endorsed the launch, and already $5.5 billion is committed.
But is that enough? Or could this just become another top-down program where indigenous groups are consulted but not really in charge?
That's the real test. The model has promise, but it only works if governments actually choose the direct access pathway and if decision-making stays with the communities. Otherwise, it could be a repeat. Plenty of money, but not much real empowerment.
So the next few years will really show if this is a turning point or just another missed opportunity.
Exactly.
That sums up our deep dive into Brazil's $125 billion forest fund. It could shift power to indigenous communities or leave them waiting again.
Keep an eye on this story. Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Give it a try for free.